Section 15.1, Introduction to Seventh Chords. So after triads, seventh chords are the next most commonly used type of chord, and they're found in all sorts of music. So as you already know, triads look like this. You can think of them as space, 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 line, 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 or you can also think of them as a pair of stacked thirds. So like here's a third, and there's a third. Here's a third, there's another third. So two stacked thirds, or line, 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 space, space, space. Now, seventh chords take the same pattern, and they just extend it by one note. So here we have space, 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 or line, 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 line. You can also think of it in terms of thirds. Here's a third, and there's another third. Third, third, and one other third. So three stacked thirds. Why are they called seventh chords? Well, it's because of the distance between the root and the top note, or the bottom note and the top note as you see them here. So F up to E is an interval of a seventh, B up to A is an interval of a seventh, and so on. So in this next exercise, you're just warming up. You are constructing seventh chords on top of the following notes. So you're going to do it like this. If you're given a space note, you just fill in the next three space notes. If you're given a line note, just the next three line notes. So this should be pretty automatic for you already. Just keep track of your ledger lines. Make sure you preserve line, 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 or space, 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 space. Now, let's figure out how to name these chords, and let's actually use this one as an example. And I should say, name the members of these chords. So the bottom note, when you see it in this nice configuration, unsurprisingly, is going to be called the root. The next note up is going to be the third. Next note after that, you can guess, is going to be the fifth. And the top note, when it's in this basic form, is going to be called the seventh. So root, third, fifth, and seventh. Why are they called that? Well, the third is a third above the root, the fifth is a fifth above the root, and of course the seventh is a seventh above the root. So very easy to remember. Let's go on to the next page. The root of a seventh chord gives it its name. So whenever you see line, 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 or space, 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 whenever you see a seventh chord in its most basic form, which is also called a root position here, whatever note is on the bottom is the root, and it gives you the name of the chord. So here in this exercise, your job is simply to figure out what the root is of each of these seventh chords. We don't yet care about what type of seventh chord it is. We'll get to that momentarily. But for right now, we're just getting the root. So check it out. Make sure that you're dealing with the chord in its basic configuration first. So we've got line, 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 line. Yep, checks out. It's in root position. So bottom note is going to be the root. Therefore, the root is G sharp. So that would be called a G sharp seventh chord of some kind. Here we've got line, 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 line. Bottom note is E flat, so E flat is the root. Space, 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 space. Bottom note is A, so A is the root. Line, 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 line. Bottom note is G, so G is the root. Space, 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 line. This one is not in root position. So the answer here is that the root is not A. It's not that thing right there. If you want to, you can try to reorganize these notes and come up with F as your root. But for right now, the most important thing is to realize if you do not have a seventh chord in root position, then you can't rely on that bottom note being the root of your chord.